Today I'm going to talk about marriage laws in Canada, which are frankly barbaric. They go back 2,000 years. God help me. It's never ending. The disparity and the inequity and the injustice of our laws in this country. We're in the dark ages, for God's sakes. These laws are 2,000 years old. Just to give you some idea, in French law, the woman, if she got married, lost all her property and it automatically went to the husband. Back in the 60s, I won't mention the name because the company is still around. I'm sure she is, and she was older than me, but she's got children. She was a wealthy woman and an entrepreneur and a businesswoman and had her own company, and she married a wonderful man, and he was in something political, I can't remember, an ambassador or whatever, but he was up there. He was a lawyer or something. And they couldn't legally marry in Quebec because if she did, she would lose title to her properties, her money, and her business. And they went through a bunch of hoops to make sure that their children had legal status. Now, I don't know when, but somewhere along the line that law changed. And so it should. But in British law, which Canada is, it goes back 2,000 years and it's Roman law. Now, unbelievable. Aside from all I've talked about in secret filing, do you know that when you get married and you're blissfully happy and you buy a house together and you live together for 61 years and somewhere along the line one of you gets early onset dementia or Alzheimer's? And in the early stages there's very subtle personality changes that you may not even notice because it comes on so gradually. Or you're just a bastard like my father and you like to do things that are cruel just for the hell of it. Or you're a bloody bitch like that woman in Hamilton who stole her friend's house and that woman in Sudbury who stole a friend's house. But in those cases they weren't even married, but it came under common law act and they got half the property and they didn't even live together. But I'm not going into that. I'm talking about legal marriage, okay? And you think you're protected. Well, you're not. Because in secret, that joint tenancy on that home can be severed. And like my mother, you can find out 18 years after your husband dies that you don't own your house. Okay? You only own half. Well, I don't think after in a marriage that anybody should wind up owning half. That's ridiculous. Now, the only province where it's safe is in Saskatchewan. In that law, number 1, no secret filing. Number 2, can't sever without consent, which means you go to court and you're either a separation or you're in a divorce, which makes sense. And then you either sell or buy the other person out. But in a legal marriage, you should have protection, because if you don't, they can have a personality change and turn on you, and you have no idea that they've severed. Now, you've heard of a prenup agreement? Well, beware. Anybody who's already married or who's going to get married in Canada, I'm warning you, get an afternup. That means you go to a lawyer and you have a legal contract that they cannot sever the joint tenancy on the matrimonial home without it being under a separation or a divorce or by consent. But even consent's not good because you can be intimidated into doing something you don't want to do. Like my father could have easily threatened my mother to signing off all her rights because he was a brutal monster. And he beat the shit out of her if she didn't do what she was told. God knows I stepped in on that so many times, but I mean, even I didn't know he would do a thing like that after he had a stroke and He was in diapers, and she took care of him, and that bastard he severed in secret. So that's the thing. If you're getting married, or if you're already married, and you really care about your spouse, the matrimonial home should automatically go to your spouse as long as you remain together in a marriage. And in Canada, the only way to protect yourself, other than Saskatchewan, is you're going to have an afternup marriage contract that doesn't allow for severance of joint tenancy. And the house goes to you. And if you are like in business, entrepreneurs in business together, like my mother worked like a dog helping my father. She worked every day of her life, and her money went into the home and went into the income properties. I think that's I think she should have been entitled to everything. And although you don't want to go so far, like Spelling went so far as to billions of dollars, and he gave everything to the wife, and he didn't even provide a home for his children. What a jerk. I don't know what that was all about. But, like I say, when you get old, you change, your thinking changes, and you do strange, cruel things that are unexpected for no particular reason. You just do it. And the only way to protect yourself from that is at least protect the matrimonial home. So I'm telling all you young people out there going to get married, or all you people who are married, you'd better look at your matrimonial home and protect yourself before you wind up losing the house and your property rights. Because Canada will give you no protection. You have to go to court, and $100,000 later, you still lose it. So, we've got an election coming up in Ontario, and that I wish somebody would make some of these issues and secret filing an issue, but nobody seems to care. But anyway, marriage in Canada is barbaric. It's in the dark ages, and and our laws need to be upgraded. And until they are, get a lawyer,